Hello, I am Shaimaa Daweri and this is my master dissertation. My supervisor is Mark Desjardins. My project is positioned in Binche, which is a major city of interest within its history in the field of fossil energy industry, especially after the Second War, when Belgium increased coal production. The St. Albert Tower is one of the remaining features of that era. It is positioned near the historical heart of the city, a cultural site where all the oldest buildings are located. As the surrounding lands around the St. Albert Tower are flat, within a lake of high-rise buildings, the St. Albert Tower can be seen from 12 kilometers away. It is the first building to be seen from E19-E42 highway, which makes St. Albert Tower a beacon in the city. Historic center of Binche is a cultural site where all the ancient and historical buildings are, and which is also considered as the heart of the city. The St. Albert Extraction Tower was built in 1954. The activity of the tower in the coal industry stopped in 1969. After that, the function of the extraction tower changed, and its basement level served as a natural gas reserve. From 1991, the tower was no longer used and was gradually emptied of all its reserves. In 2014, the St. Albert Tower has been threatened with demolition. The citizens of Binche have created a Facebook page against the demolition of the building of the St. Albert. They have launched an online petition demanding the conservation of the tower. The online petition was signed through this Facebook page. In 2 months, they have collected more than 1,000 signatures and applied it to the heritage status to ensure this building is preserved and to create a new use. Currently, the St. Albert Tower is an abandoned building. A part of the tower has been taken by the municipality of Binche and it's used as an indoor sport hall. The first inspiration in my research was this imaginary scheme, which shows the depth of the mine underground and the reflection of it above the ground. And here came the first idea, which is mirroring the spatial experience from underground to above the ground. After that, I started doing my research about mining work, as mining has always been among the most dangerous industries in the term of occupational health and safety in the world, as workers have to go deep underground in the early morning to start their work shift where no sunlight. In addition, miners must deal with toxic gases, the threat of being crushed, drowned, or injured from fire and explosions. The general idea of the project is how to change the idea of the place from difficulty and hard work into peaceful, enjoyable, and affordable place by replacing the old function of the tower with a new entertainment function, which is overnight stay project, by having a new experience in the place, a new way of sleeping, a new way of exploring the space. The unforgettable experience in the place will make the visitor less stressed and happier in contrast to the idea of the place in the past. This project is research by design process. So the design has gone through different phases and the design concept has changed with the research accordingly. The next step after studying the context and the history of the St. Albert Tower was visualizing the design concept, which aims to mirror the underground spatial experience of 60 years ago to above the ground, with a new spatial reconfiguration presented by the tower as the main core connection between the two levels. The first visualization was to place a wooden grid around the tower, with the new sleeping zone on that grid, which will be linked to the tower with the floating corridors on different levels. The idea is to keep the tower as a landmark in the area and not to cover or hide any part of it with the new construction. The second phase of the research was to dig more in the history of the tower and explore what was happening 60 years ago underneath the ground. In that phase, 2 important documents has been found. The first one is a booklet about the company program in 1954, which has more information about the company strategy during the Great Coal Battle. And The build of St. Albert Tower. The booklet contains all the required drawings of the tower which have been used later in the design process. The second one is a small booklet in which the new workers were given all the information about working in the mine. It is a guide, includes all required information for a new miner. The second booklet was a major turning point in the research as the booklet shows an imaginary perspective of the mine underground. The drawing explains what is mining and how the underground mine is working. It shows that to make the mine works, two shafts should be provided for the air circulation, one for air inlet and extraction, the other for air return. The St. Albert Tower is extraction tower and one of the two shafts in the mine, but where is the other shaft? This was the major question in the research. In this stage, I have studied more about the mine spatial elements such as the underground tunnels and their physical structure. The focuses are on three mine elements which are underground mine tunnels, the labor queue, and the gauge. As we see in the image, miners were cramming inhumanly way in the gauge on their way to go deep underground. This image has a significant impact on the design later. After studying the two booklets and the mine spatial elements, the design concept has changed. The new design concept reflects these tunnels, where the tower is the main core in the project and all the tunnels linked to it. The tunnels will go through the building, connecting the two sides of the building. The building itself has the same function as in the past, with one major difference. The workers were going under the ground in a gauge into darkness where all the tunnels were closed, while the new tunnels will be above the ground in the light open to the surrounding area. Going back to the research question, where is the other shaft? The geological map of Wallonia shows that there are two shafts in the site of the St. Albert Tower, but still it is not clear where is the accurate location of the other shaft. The Walloon Public Scientific Institute scanned more than 12,000 mine plans and documents and extraction data related to the old mine shafts. After contacting the Walloon Public Scientific Institute and sending a motivation letter to the owner, the required information and drawings were sent after getting the permission from the current owner. The document shows that the second shaft is positioned in the area behind the tower, with a depth of 800 meters under the ground. The center had also given some advice about any new additional construction on the site. They considered a radius of 25 meters around the shaft, where it is dangerous to build without special measures which can limit collapse damage. Drawings had also highlighted the area of the earlier mine layout, which was modernized in 1954. The design started focusing more on the structural innovation and the floating corridors because of the stability of the site. Any new additional construction must be with less foundation and required light material. The light and darkness were the design approach, so that the visitor can imagine the two shafts were the most lighted point in the project and the rest was dark. At this point, from my perspective, the design is not reflecting the underground world. It's just not giving the feeling I intended. Here I went to the site for a second visit, seeking for hidden details in the tower and the surrounding area. During the visit, I noticed that the surrounding landscape around the St. Albert Tower is not stable and it is starting to break at some point. From this observation came the final concept, as the St. Albert was a coal mine, so the building coming out of the ground breaks all the surrounding landscape. In order to do that, I made a real model to the building and started imagining that the St. Albert Tower is breaking the ground and coming out of the ground. All the cracks start from the main corners in the tower. The cracks grow randomly in different directions. By creating these cracks around the St. Albert Tower, which functions as a new entrance to the inside, it reflects the same tunnels as under the ground. This project is an attempt to convert the site to a memorial place by creating a new way of mining above the ground inspired by the history of the St. Albert Tower. At the end of the design process, all the design strategies were adopted in one exclusive design: the maintenance, breaking the queue, reviving the gauge, mining experience, breaking out the ground, and the light structure. The ground floor plan will have new entertainment activities such as photography studio, jewelry shops, cafe, restaurant, and multifunctional hall. The first floor plan is a reflection of the miner lives, where the visitor can have a new experience similar to the miner's life in the mine. The new entertainment activities are capsule room, dining table, and the shared shower room. The gauge will be restored by having the sleeping area on the gauge over the shaft using the existing steel frame in capsule style, sleeping over 800 depth shaft. In the conclusion, there are two aspects. Safety aspect must be realized in the event of either demolition or redevelopment of the site. The ancient underground works remain and they can be a risk to any nearby developments above the ground. Cultural aspect. The St. Albert Tower is a beacon in the city of Binche. The St. Albert is a part of the daily view of Binche resident. The history of the tower is associated with the heritage of the inhabitants of the neighborhood and surrounding village. The St. Albert building reflects a kind of proclamation of the fossil energy era, when Binche was one of the known cooling mines in Belgium. These two factors, safety and culture, are crucial reasons to preserve the St. Albert Tower from demolition and to rethink the building as a piece of physical heritage. Thank you for listening to my presentation.